Recently we looked at Tamiya's classic SdKfz.222 and this week I thought we would have a look at some aftermarket. We've got resin, we've got etch, so that completes the party. Let's have a look. Yes, hello and welcome to Model Kit Stuff. We're looking at some aftermarket today for Tamiya's classic SdKfz.222. Now, I built that kit as a kid and I built it straight from the box. It was in the day when resin was in its infancy and it was very expensive and genuinely gave you quite a few issues with air bubbles and lumps and bumps and a lot of cleanup, and it wasn't a fun experience, early resin. But the world has moved on quite a bit in 30 years or so. So now we're at the point where resin can really give you some wow factor to your model. So we have some resin to look at and we have some etch. We're going to have a look at the resin first. Now this has come from a company called, I think I'm going to pronounce this right, I'm not sure, Gaijin, which is spelled Gaijin. I will put it up in the screen there. They're called Gaijin Resin Stowage, and you buy this from eBay. So they appear to be just an eBay site, and they just focus on vehicle stowage for their resin. So gonna have a look at that, and this is the set. They do more than one set actually for the SK222, I think. So the stowage comes with everything you'd typically expect, and a couple of replacement parts for the vehicle as well. So you can see here, this is the spare wheel cover, which looks nicer than the plastic molded one, but it also has some material, so some uniform or something hanging over there, and it is really nicely done. There is no air bubbles whatsoever. It's a lovely detailed piece of moulding. Casting block is at the bottom, a little bit of tidy up on there, and you might have to scrape back in some folds and bits in those locations, but it's minor and it's facing at the bottom, so won't be seen. And remember, this is on an angle as well, so doubly won't be seen. But even the material, the folds are all natural, they look right. A little bit of cleanup here, which is the limitation of the moulding process, but that is really nice and looks very natural, and will give you a more detailed finish than the one that you get in the kit, which just has about 3 or 4 creases in it, and it also has the seam, much more detailed seam in it as well. So a really nice swap out for the kit part there. And then other things that you get some fuel cans that are molded into a shelf. So these can go on the nose of the vehicle, the back of the vehicle, wherever you feel you want to mount them. If you look at the website, there is a couple of pictures of them as a suggestion as where you might want to put them. But they're very nicely done with straps that have a natural hang with the buckles on, and the handles are all separate for ease of painting. I've left the handles in here for protection. They all came in this bag, but the handles will glue on separately, as will the spout as well. So you can detail paint this to your heart's content. A little bit of cleanup needed on the handles, but not much. It's just a gentle scrape. But yeah, really nice. So we've got that. We do have some fuel cans done in different ways as well. So here's a single one that you can do, and again, handle and spout separate. And then we've got a toolbox here, which is the common German style of toolbox, so that is really nice. We've also got a backpack that's been slung on the outside, so again really nice, lots of detail with folds, has a natural nice hang, really does look the part. Then we've got this large piece of stowage which can go on the back of the vehicle, which has a box which is tied down with string. You can see the string has got a natural hang to it. There is a helmet there. The helmet is detailed, it's got the little pips on it that you should have, and then bundles of material. So it could be bedding, could be a tent. You could paint that up to be whatever you really wanted it to be. That might be nice to do a little camouflage tent or something in there. So that's really interesting. And what looks like a cardboard box with a lid. I'm guessing that it wouldn't be, but it could be. You could paint that to be cardboard, you could paint it to be wood. It's got some little dents and dinges on the side, so it does look a little battered. It all looks natural, and that's what you're looking for. And everything I have seen mistakes. There's no mistake on this. The hang of the buckles and straps on this is the same direction of that. Believe me, I have seen that before where they go in different directions. But yeah, that looks really, really nicely detailed. I'll take some close-up photos for the end. Then we've got a couple of ammunition boxes, again with some form of mounting strap over them. So for the machine gun there. We've got gas mask canisters, so you can individually hang them as you want to add some detail. We've got two different types of bucket or pot. There's no handles for these as far as I can see, so you've got to make a little handle with some wire. That's really nice. A couple of cooking pots to hang out the back. I'm sure they have to give them a good rinse, so they'll get a bit sandy, possibly, depending on which version you're doing. I'm going to do desert. Then we've got another fuel can with some material stuff behind it. So again, bedding, sheets, tarpaulins, camouflaged or not. Your choice is yours. Really nicely done. They did attempt to do the string go across it, but it's broken in that process. So it's the only imperfection I've seen in the set, is the string hasn't quite made it across. But that's easy to sort with a bit of your own thread. So you just cut it off at a point where you can carry it on and fish it around the back and just overlay that, and that'll look fine. So yeah, really, really good. And again, it all looks really natural, even from the sides. Very, very nicely done. We've got a couple, well, I say a couple, we've got 3 separate helmets that we can add on. The casting block is on the top, which is the easiest place to clean them up and not damage the rim, so that is fine, but careful removing of the casting blocks. So 3 helmets. We've got a couple of wooden boxes here, or no, sorry, we've got 1 wooden box. It's the casting block that looked like a wooden box for a second. It's a wooden box with the with metal handles on the side and straps on. There's a little bit of a seam here. The cast has moved when it was being done, and you've got a little bit of a lip, but should be easy to take that out, and it won't be noticeable on the strap, and it doesn't affect the sides, it's only affecting the top. So again, not a biggie to resolve, and it's got a nice little clasp on the front. Water bottles, 3 of them separate again, so you can hang them as you please. Then we've got some more uniform, which has a little water bottle underneath and a bundle of something, but what looks like a jacket or something like that. So lends itself really well, especially to the African one for me, where they're likely to have taken the jackets off and hung them because of the heat. Really nicely done. And then other than the handles in this bag, I will just get this out. There is also the personal shovels that they carried. Now, a little bit bent, but all you need to do is put that in some warm water, just over tepid, bend it back, and that'll be fine. Just a little bit of a flex there in some very warm water, and you'll find that you can bend that back no problem. And again, detailed on both sides, so you can hang them whichever way you want on your vehicle. So I think it's a really nice set. I'll take some photographs and you can have a look. So I will leave a link to the eBay site in the text underneath the video. It doesn't come with any instructions. They all came tightly packed in this one bag. I've got in this box with bubble wrap, so well protected. I was a little bit concerned about the handles getting damaged because they're so delicate, which is why I've chosen to separate them, but nothing was damaged. There isn't any air bubbles, there isn't any disformity. They're really crisply molded and nicely detailed. I think they're fabulous. Okay, the Eduard etch now, and actually you get quite a bit in the set. Now, apologies for the lighting. I will give you a nice close-up view of these parts at the end of the video. So what you get in this set, and it's a relatively inexpensive set, is the usual instructions, which we will have a look at in a moment, 3 frets of etch, and some paper and acetate that's been printed with dials. So you're replacing some of the areas that needed an upgrade. So even if you've got one of the older kits which doesn't have the etch upgrade for the grenade defense on top, you've got an option here for an etch replacement. And I have to say the Eduard version is nicer than the Tamiya version, because you've got the correct weave of the wire patternation in there, which you don't get on the Tamiya etch included in the upgraded kit. But you've got some nice little add-ons, so better grating for the plastic molded areas, better mud flaps, and then just more refined detail, which is really important on a kit that's showing its age in terms of the molding process. And then you've got some you've got lamp covers and different types of lamp covers, and target for the gun, ammunition, and various other little bits as well as some bits that mask off joints that are under the mud flaps. So let's have a look at the instructions and have a much better understanding of how all this comes together. So the instructions are a single A4 sheet that's double-sided printed. For ease, you can cut it down the middle, and you can have different separate sheets to take up less space, which is something that I sometimes do. And as always, the sequence of the instructions doesn't necessarily follow the build sequence, so it's a matter of deciding when you want to do those parts. They do put them into little sub-assembly boxes. I tend to mark them up with a number and sequence them into my instructions. It's a good way of not forgetting to do something. So we can see here we've got on the inside of the vehicle, we've got a little bit of detail. So this is stuff that you might see as you look down through the open top of the vehicle. So the fact that we've got some detail going in is really helpful. Of course, we've not got the parts that go in there. But it will be something that, yeah, if you look in, you'll see there's something in there, and that might be helpful. Also, sticking with the interior, we've got here the etch set of dials for driving the vehicle, which is it's a little odd when there's not even a seat in the kit, I don't think. But yeah, you get a photo etch front, and then you can either use the film or the print version of the dials and put them in place. If you're going to use the film version, you'll want to paint the back of the film white just to help that pop out. Then we've got some little detail going on the chassis there. So where we've got the two rods that meet and are moulded in on the side, we've got a little bit of a metal part to go over the top there. Then we've got more basic details, so the drains and gullies that are put onto the vehicle are all being replaced here, so you've got a little bit of filling to do and some part removal. So swapping out the plastic part with two pieces of thin etch, which will look really, really good if you can pull off getting them on, and then again removing the rain gullies and replacing that with a single part that folds, which will be a better option. But that's got complex folds, which is why they couldn't do that, I guess. Then we've got smoke dischargers. So the photo etch for the smoke dischargers, which you can line up on the front there, that will be an interesting task because they're all individual. So you're going to put the individual plastic smoke discharger into the photo etch. So for me, you do all that, get them all lined up on a jig and glue them together so they're all touching, and then put them as one onto there rather than, as they're suggesting, put them on individually. But it does mean that you can leave one with a discharger canister removed, so that's nice. But that will be quite an interesting bit of work to do, but they will look awesome when they're done. We've got upgrade to the shovel, so a new shovel blade and the mounting straps and buckles. And then we've got the indicator flapper going on the side. I'm not sure if that's actually included in the kit. And these tie down points, so these little triangular tie down points that they have on both sides. So again, not sure that they're actually included in the kit, or if they are, they're big chunky plastic ones, but they're not giving you a replace kit number, so I think they're additions. And yeah, so that covers that first section. Then here, well, we've got some options if we want. So we've got the horn there going in, which we could also add some wire to. We've got the little flag that you can put in, so if there's someone important of status in there, you can mount a little flag on there. You've got some little buckles, you've got a replacement mud flap, and then you've got the little width indicator that sits on the corner there, which also has a wing mirror on it. So all of that gets built on, some extra detail with a bit of hinging, and you've got to remove a small amount of plastic part, and the inside edge of the mudguard is also suggested to be removed. You'll see why in a minute. Then we've got an upgrade to the side stowage boxes, removing the moulded on buckles and putting some metal ones on. That'll give it a little bit of finesse and sharpen that up a little bit, so that's a really nice thing to do. And then it's even showing you where you've got a gap there, that the buckle goes over the gap straight. It doesn't sink into the gap like the plastic parts do because of the moulding process. So that's really nice. And then another one of the boxes that goes on the outside, we're removing moulded on detail to replace it with finer etch detail, including a padlock. So that is all nice and good, and there's a little bit of wire needed to give you the length and the diameter. Then we're turning the model upside down, and it doesn't tell you, but you do this step first, then that step. You can see there's a little piece of photo etch going in, which is hiding the joint underneath the mudguard. So where the plastic parts meet, you do that, then you can chisel out this little wedge here and put that in. So have a look at how that goes together. You might want to just sand that off before you put this part in, and then cover that up. So that's going to improve that greatly. There's a little hole there, which is the mounting point, I guess, for the spare wheel. It's suggesting you fill that and you put this little mounting point plate on it. Only worth doing if you're not putting the spare wheel on, otherwise you're not going to see it. But if you want to have the spare wheel not on, yeah, you can use that etch to highlight where it would go, and that'll look fairly cool. And then we've got some brackets to go inside the mudguard, so that'll detail it up really nicely. You can give it a wash and then muck it all up, and that will look really cool. Then we've got options for the headlamps. You can have the covers with a little slit in, or you can have the mesh covers. Now, I really quite like the idea of the mesh covers, so I might go with that just because it looks a little different. And then you've got a little cover there for that. Then we've got some etch detail for the fire extinguisher, and then we can see we're covering up, so you don't have to cut out, although you could if you wanted, but again, with no interior detail, I'm not sure why you would. But we've got this mesh to go over the top, so you'll have to have a look and see what the plastic mesh looks like. It may be that you want to cut it out so that you can't see it, and then blank it off underneath, so that you're looking into a dark space. There's a little cover to go on this back plate, the same here, another cover to go on the back plate. There is a photo etch mounting point for our fuel can, but we might be using the resin one anyway. And then we've got some buckle detail to go on to a box that is an addition. Goes on the top there and is an addition, but was commonly seen on there, so additional stowage as well. But again, we might end up using the resin, so we'll have some spares for another day. So it's quite involved and busy, and we've only done one side of it. So we're looking at the rear mudguards here, and we've got replacement of the tail light, which means a little bit of plastic cards required to do that. Or you might be able to thin down the plastic part. I'm not sure whether that's actually included or not. And then we've got a rear reflector going on the other side. Mudguards going in, replacement steps as well. The little boxes that mount on the back there get a new latch and then get an etched number plate. And we've also got some hinge detail to go on there, which is a nice addition. We've got improved mounting brackets for the jack, and then we've got some I think that's additional detail to go on that door there. So that, I think, is internal detail, and they've got some additional stuff to go on there. So whether you'll be able to see that looking through, I'm not sure, so check that out, see whether that's worth doing. And then we move to the gun, and the gun's got quite a lot of etch upgrade going on it. So from little tiny details that you put on the top to the range finding target there, which is much improved, replacing the thick bit of plastic with a nice thin etch plate, and then we've got an etch flare, but we've got the metal gun in the upgraded version of this plastic kit. So you can, if you've got the older one, you've got an option, and if you've got the newer one that's upgraded, you've got a metal barrel anyway, so you might not need some of those bits. Then we've got a nice replacement for the ammunition, the bit where the ammunition goes into the gun there, and an ejector chute on the other side, so the little defense plate that makes sure that the spent ammunition drops down, and there you've got some little brackets for that little side machine gun with some ammunition as well. So really nice. You've got the two guns there, both been catered for, and then when you get to this is the bit that sits underneath the gun. So it looks like we've got some replacement pedals and plates, like a foot plate. Then we are adding some form of cover to that part, and then this is the internals of the I guess we'd call it the coupler, for want of a better word, the turret. But yeah, there's all sorts of little internal details in there, brackets and hinges, and improvement to the viewing block. We've got some metal that needs to be look like it's a pressed sheet, so you need to form that with a ballpoint pen. It works really well, that technique, actually. So that goes inside, so we've got some detail there. We've got some little brackets to go on the inside of there as well, which will give it some further detail and a bit more realism. So that's a nice touch. We've got a little part that sticks out from the inside of one of the part that goes in there, I think it is, A19. So we've got a little sort of key latch handle type thing to glue into that, and they show it in profile, which is really nice. Then we're putting the anti-grenade cover on the top. We've got an improved mounting plate for the aerial arrangement, and then we've got a whole new box. Again, needs the pressed steel markings being done, but a whole new box to go on the side as well. And then if you've ever wondered what these are, I don't know whether people sometimes miss these. These are quite ingenious. But on the ends here you have some what look like holes, and they're all different sizes. And actually what you do, they're showing you here, you can make nuts and bolts. So what you do is you warm up some scrap sprue, and you push it into there, and then it cools, and you cut it off, and you've got a hex head bolt. It's clever, it's fiddly, but it's clever. So yeah, and it says references, nuts and bolts volume 4, SdKfz.222 and 223, and it gives you some other references as well. So no doubt the references they used for making this set, and that covers off your photo etch. So I will take some close-up photographs so you can see the frets more fully, but that is very comprehensive. So there you have it, two really nice upgrade sets for the Tamiya classic SdKfz.222. I think these are brilliant additions. Now, I intend to really go to town on this kit when I build it. I want to, like I say, I built it as a kid straight from the box and I loved it. But now what I want to do is I want to strip it back and add as much detail as I can. So I will be getting some reference material, and we will be having a look at how we can absolutely upgrade this with a combination of aftermarket and some scratch building as well. So yeah, there you have it. I think they're both brilliant sets. I'll leave links to them in the text underneath, and if you enjoyed this video, you've always got the option of clicking the super thanks. Any money that gets donated to the channel goes into the channel so that we can buy more products for reviewing, so you guys know what's out there. Thanks for looking in. You enjoy your modelling, and I will see you very soon.